Hey y'all, Austin here with Our World Media. Welcome back to another book review. This time, guys, we are talking about Zane Grey. We are talking about a Western, I guess, of sorts. We are talking The Westerner by Zane Grey. Gonna start off with kind of telling y'all what this is about. I'm gonna read the back of the blurb and then tell you what the book is actually about. So here it is. Cameron is the name. Kay Hempston was a spoiled Eastern girl who always did and said exactly as she pleased. But when the chips were down and she needed help, the only one she could turn to was a lanky, drawing cowboy from Arizona. His name was Phil Cameron, and he was a soft-spoken and hard as nails. A colorful picture of Nevada in the early years of the century by the greatest action writer who ever lived. Now, that makes me think, okay, we have a damsel in distress. This cowboy comes to town or happens to stumble across a situation. He's there to protect her. He's there, against like maybe some raiders, a gang or something maybe. Yeah, that's not what this book's about. This book, to be honest with you, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, and I can't believe I read this. This book is like a romantic comedy or a rom-com, I guess is what my wife calls it. So what this book is about, guys, and don't let the cover deceive you, that has nothing to do with the story. So what this book is about, this is about Kay Hempston. She is from, I believe, New York, and she has gone to Las Vegas, specifically in Nevada. Her mother has ran off with a gentleman who is as she describes, a rapscallion. He is a gambler. He is just not a good person. I mean, he's not a violent person, as far as physical or anything like that, but he's deceitful. And so she has gone to Las Vegas to try and convince her mother not to go through with a divorce. That's when, and the story opens up with that, and while she's in Vegas, she's stumbling around, she's trying to explore, and actually the first night she's there, and she stumbles across Phil Cameron. Now Phil, our buddy Phil, is there because his mom is doing the same thing. She is trying to get a divorce, I should say. It appears that Phil's father, as you find out when you read this book, Phil's father has taken up what's the term, I guess, has taken up a mistress who is quite a bit younger than Phil's father, and he's not necessarily hiding it. Phil's mother found out and let it be known that she knew. And so, Phil's there to try to convince her not to get a divorce as well. So these two happen to stumble across each other, and they kind of work up a pact, saying, okay, you know what? After talking for a little bit, they're like, you know what? You're here to help stop your mother. You're here to help stop your mother. Let's work together and stop both of our mothers from getting a divorce. And so, as the book goes on, and this is not that long of a book. It's like 120 pages maybe, guys. And half of it, I'm not going to lie to you, is just random Western cowboy pictures. So it's probably 60 pages, if I had to guess, maybe 70 pages. And so, as the story goes on, they're trying to convince their mothers, and it's not working. So they decide to come up with this idea where they are going to move in together and convince each other's mothers that they are in love and that they are going for people that their parents would not approve of. In Phil's case, I forget her name. Kay. Sorry, Kay has convinced Phil's mother that she is an actress, and that she is, likes to run amok in town. She likes to drink. She likes to gamble. She likes to stay out late. This is in a time period where that's still not acceptable for women to do. And in Phil's case, Kay convinces her mother, yeah, I've fallen in love with this cowboy, and he's not sophisticated, but he's better than anybody else I've come across in New York. So that gets their mothers in an uproar. And so, the book, this entire story, again, is about them trying to convince their parents not to get a divorce. But they can't happen but also fall in love in a very, very weird way. Well, Phil's a little bit more natural. Kay, I feel like, is a little bit of a weird situation for how she decides she wants to fall in love. There and looking at the cover and reading the back, you would think again this is about like maybe a cowboy coming on the ranch and protecting against a gang or something. That yeah, again, not. I mean, there's cars in here. There's scenes where they talk about taking a car ride out to Nevada. Nevada, sorry, it's hard to speak, guys, when I haven't had a full cup of coffee first thing on Labor Day morning. Um, they take a car ride out to the Nevada desert and whatnot and see the scenery. Phil is from the area, but he's in California. He's down on his luck. His parents have a ranch. He has proceeded to buy a ranch, and the ranch is kind of falling through. He's in debt. And again, this feels like an early prototype for a romantic comedy. It really does. And so this will be, two books now that have a huge love story aspect that I've read by Zane Grey. Um, and again, I flew through this because, again, it's like 70 pages. Didn't take that long to read. You can really sit down and read this in one sitting. I just don't want you guys to be deceived about this. Now, kind of getting into, the good, the bad, and the ugly of this book. Now that I've kind of told you guys what this is about. The good about this book is it's quick. It is a quick read. Some other good things about this book as well. Somehow, some way, I actually ended up liking the characters of Phil specifically. Kay, I liked her, but not to the extent of Phil. I don't know why. Kay is the mastermind behind these plans and whatnot. There is one fist fight scene near the end of the book in this. I'm not gonna lie. So there is, a little bit of action, but most of it's just dialogue in this book, which caught me by surprise because I would think I wouldn't enjoy it, but I actually quite enjoyed this book. Getting into the bad. Again, the cover and the butler. Well, I guess this is not deceitful. It doesn't say that it's on a range. The cover is very deceitful. Very, very deceitful because there is no range fighting, nothing like that. If they change the cover and put it inside like a little cabin or house, that would be more realistic to what happens in the story. Um, some other stuff that's bad in this book, like I said, this is a time in Reno, in the time in history where women really weren't allowed or weren't supposed to go out at night by themselves and whatnot, especially in Nevada, Las Vegas specifically. They weren't supposed to drink, they weren't supposed to do this. Um, yeah, it's a weird. This is a weird review. I'm not gonna lie, guys, because I'm still kind of flabbergasted by this book. Um, Now, getting into the ugly, uh, the weird part that I didn't like about this book, and I don't know why, but I guess this is the bad, and it ticks me off. I don't know why, but there's a part in this book where, our boy Phil has made a friend in the city, which happens to be one of Kay's friends, and so they go out to dinner, and our boy Phil's having a good time. He's, drinking, he's living it up, he's in Las Vegas, he's in love, you know. And I think the underlying note to this that I don't think they didn't come out and say it, but I think Phil falls in love quicker than Kay, and he realizes I'm in love with her, but this is just a scheme. So he starts to drink a little bit more in the book as the book goes on. And I think that was his way of kind of coping with the fact that he was in love but knew it wasn't real from Kay as far as that goes. And again, I might be reading into it a little bit that way. But there was a scene in here, and this is going to be a bad and an ugly, mark on this. There's a scene where our boy Phil comes to the house or whatever, the cabin, and tells Kay, I want to kiss you. I wonder what you look like under that dress or something like that. So he walks over, picks her up. She doesn't do anything really. I mean, she's kind of, from what I remember, she's kind of like, yeah, no. And our boy Phil happens to fall on the couch, just drunk, passed out. So Kay happens to come up with this plan. She is going to wreck the cabin or the house and make poor old Phil think that he went crazy and destroyed the house, maybe even hit her, put his hands on her, and she's gonna act like, oh, it's okay, but make poor Phil think that he's done something that he didn't do, which I really didn't like that aspect of the book because, as you get into this book and realize, at the end of this book, she realizes, oh crap, Phil feels really bad about what he did. Like he hates himself. He absolutely despises himself. Now, this goes against everything that Phil believes in. And that's what tricks her in, or makes her think, I love him because he feels so bad about it. Again, this is a very weird, weird book to me. But again, that's kind of a good and an ugly thing because some people probably won't like that. I didn't, but I can really see how some people won't like that and whatnot. But that's going to be my review for The Westerner, guys. Like I said, short story, really, a novella really is what this is. But again, and when I ranked it, I ranked it on Goodreads because I just like to go back and see how I felt about the book. I gave this a 4 out of 5. I think I was on there. There was 2, maybe 3 other reviews, and all of them were like, "Yeah, we didn't like this book. It's very deceiving." I enjoyed it for what it was. If you take out that scene where Kay makes Phil think that he beat her or hit her or whatever, I enjoyed this book. I really did. This is one of those, and I think this has come from time of being married and having been with my wife for so long now. I enjoyed it for what it was. It was kind of like a little romantic, comedy. But I don't know why, but I actually enjoyed this quite a bit. Like I said, don't if you see this out in the wild, I would pick it up. It's a quick read. Don't be deceived though. This is not a Western book by any means, despite what the title, the image, and what the back would have you believe. But yeah, guys, that is my review for Zane Grey's The Westerner. Like I said, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I mean, I enjoyed it except for that one little part. Not a bad book. But yeah, that is it, guys. I hope y'all have a good one.